كل هذا ونحن نريه الآيات، كلما ذكر لنا حقيقة ذكرنا له الآيات وهو يوافق على ذلك. ثم قلنا له ها أنت ذا رأيت بنفسك حقائق علم الفلك الحديث بعد أن استخدم الإنسان هذه الأجهزة والصواريخ وسفن الفضاء واكتشف هذه المعلومات، فأنت ذا قد رأيتها، ثم رأيت كيف جاءت في هذه النصوص القرآنية قبل 1400 سنة، فما رأيك في هذا؟ فأجاب.
That's a difficult question which I have been thinking about since our discussions here. I'm impressed at how remarkably some of the ancient writings seem to correspond to modern and recent astronomy. I'm not a sufficient scholar of human events and of human history to project myself completely and reliably into the circumstances that an ancient or that 1400 years ago would have prevailed. But certainly, I'd like to leave it that what we have seen is remarkable. It may or may not admit of scientific explanation. There may have to be something beyond what we understand as ordinary human experience to account for the writings that we've seen. But it's not my intention or my position at this point to provide an answer to that. I've said a lot of words without, I think, expressing exactly what you want me to express, but as it's my job as a scientist to remain independent of certain questions, and I think that's one that I best stop just a little bit short of giving you the complete answer that you might desire.
نعم أمر صعب أن يتصوروا أن هذا العلم الذي نزل في كتاب الله قبل 1400 عام قد جاء إلى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم من مصدر بشري. لابد أن هناك مصدر وراء تفكير هؤلاء العلماء. إنه الذي يعلم السر في السماوات والأرض.
Okay, firstly, for the record, could you please say what your name is?
My name is Thomas Armstrong. I have been a professor of physics and astronomy for 35 years at the University of Kansas. I retired from that 8 years ago and have been in the private sector in a technology business ever since.
Right. Now, you, I think it was some point during the 1980s, I think, you were invited to, well, you ended up at an event where you were asked questions about verses in the Quran. The first question I'd like to ask is, what were the circumstances which led to you attending this event?
Well, I was invited by some students, international students at the University of Kansas, to visit Jeddah and to interview or be interviewed by Sheikh Zendani. And since I was scheduled to attend a meeting in Europe anyway, and my wife was going to join me for that, I accepted the offer to fly to Jeddah for a couple of days before I went back to the meetings I had scheduled in France. So that explains the fact that I was in Jeddah along with
what was the what do you recall what they said was the purpose of this event?
The proclaimed purpose was to discuss matters in astronomy and the origin of the solar system, the cosmogony of the solar system.
Mm-hmm. And was there any mention of religion before you agreed to attend?
Not really, but I did understand that Sheikh Zindani was a religious man, a religious person.
Yeah.
And that's about the extent of it.
Right. Okay. So while you were at this event, can you explain what the circumstances were which led to you being presented with verses from the Quran and being asked to comment on them?
Sure. I understood that I was to be interviewed and to respond to questions. And so, in fact, I was taken from the hotel to the site of the interview, which was set up with recording equipment and a translator. I do not know Arabic. I don't know the first part of it. And so the interaction was completely via a translator who translated from English to Arabic and Arabic to English for the question and answer part of the interview.
Okay.
And yeah, that's the circumstances.
Now I sent you a script. It was a small extract from the official book that went with the video that was produced from your interview, which was called "This Is the Truth." There's a small extract in that which I've sent through to you that you've had a look at. If you've got enough time and you're willing, would it be okay for us to quickly go through that?
Oh, sure. Okay? Not a problem.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. It starts by introducing you, saying that you work at NASA. And it says, we asked him about iron and how it was formed. He explained how all the elements in the Earth were formed. He stated that scientists have come only recently to discover the relevant facts about the formation process. He said that the energy of the early solar system was not sufficient enough to produce elemental iron. In calculating the energy required to form one atom of iron, it was found to be about 4 times as much as the energy of the entire solar system. In other words, the entire energy of the Earth or the Moon or the planet Mars or any other planet is not sufficient to form one new atom of iron. Even the energy of the entire solar system is not sufficient for that. That is why Professor Armstrong said that the scientists believe that iron is an extraterrestrial that was sent to Earth and not formed therein. Okay, I think I'll stop at that point. How does that sound so far?
That is hopelessly confused. And
Yeah.
As I reflect on how that might have been, what might have been lost in translation.
Can I just, can I just end this call and restart because my video view is frozen? I'll call you directly back.
Is that
right?
better?
Okay. Yeah, you're moving again now. Sorry about that.
Okay. What was probably lost in translation was a lot. Yes, iron is an element that is not formed in stars as small as the sun. It takes much more energy, much more gravitational energy from larger stars to make iron. And that is the reason why astronomers then and now understand that the solar system was formed out of the debris from earlier stellar explosions.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the Earth and other objects in the solar system have iron really means that the solar system was formed out of this material that was present in the galaxy from earlier stellar explosions, supernova explosions, and other generations of stars that were born and destroyed before the Earth, before the solar system was even formed.
When he was citing this, when he was discussing this, what he cited to you was a verse in the Quran, chapter 57, verse 25, which says, "And we sent down iron, which is great might and has many benefits for mankind." Do you think that it's an accurate description to say that iron was sent down to Earth?
Not really. No. It was an entirely natural process. It's understood to be iron, along with with lots and lots of other chemical elements, were present at the time of the natural processes that formed the solar system. No magic, nothing supernatural, nothing divine is required to explain it.
Okay. He goes on to say, "Then we asked him about the sky and whether it had any gaps or rifts in it. He disproved this and replied that what we're talking about is a branch of astronomy called integrated cosmos, which we scientists have only come to know recently. For example, if you have a body in outer space which travels a certain distance in any direction and then travels the same distance in a different direction, you will find that the mass weight is the same in all directions. Because this body has its own equilibrium, the pressures from all directions are the same. Without this equilibrium, the whole universe would collapse." I'm not really sure what he's talking about.
Yeah, that has very little to do with what I would have said in that time. They are probably referring to cosmology, which was a well-established area of astronomical research at that time, and cosmologists were working out how to explain the expansion of the universe and the various observed attributes of the universe. And it's very likely that the translation was inaccurate. I can't, there's nothing I could have said that would have made any sense at all that resembles the quotation there.
Okay. So the verse that he was referring to, Quran 50:6, "Do they not look at the sky above them, how we have made it and adorned it, and there are no flaws in it?" Did that strike you particularly as revelational?
No, that's and there's nothing new or original or even accurate about that. The cosmos is a very active place. It's evolving. It's changing. It's been this. Stars are born, stars die. There are all sorts of exotic objects in it, and the cosmos is what it is for natural reasons, not for divine reasons.
Then we talked to Professor Armstrong about the attempts of scientists to reach the edge of the universe, and we asked him whether they were successful in this. He replied that they are fighting an uphill battle to the edge of the universe. We construct more powerful equipment to observe the universe, only to discover that the new stars we see are still within our galaxy, and that we have not yet reached the edge of the universe.
That's not accurate. Yes, the entire history of cosmology has been the attempt to extend the observations to greater and greater distances, to greater and greater what's called redshifts, the cosmological expansion that's been known since the 1930s due to Hubble and others provide the means to infer the distance of distant galaxies from the amount of their redshift. And the notion that that stars are only being born in our own galaxy is not correct. There's stellar processes, stellar evolution going on throughout the cluster of galaxies and throughout the universe, for sure.
With this piece of text, he was referring to 67:5, which is, "And we adorned the lowest heaven with lamps, and we made such lamps missiles to drive away Satan's." Indeed, all these stars are adornments for the lowest heaven. He says that scientists have not reached the end of the universe. And because of this, scientists are thinking about putting telescopes in space. I didn't realise that. I'm not really been following astronomy all my life, but I'm quite surprised that we wouldn't have had telescopes in space in the 1980s. Did we have telescopes in space in the 80s?
Oh yeah, there were small telescopes in space, and this was well before the Hubble telescope. It was in development in those times, but there were several other smaller optical and other sensors doing that kind of work from orbit in those days, in 83, 84. That's fine.
Yeah. So the verse about adorning the lowest.
Really relevant.
Sorry, the verse about adorning the lowest heaven with lamps, which are missiles to shoot down Satan's. Is that particular? Were you particularly impressed by Zindani revealing this text?
No. That has no basis in astronomy or observation or theory or anything scientific. That may be a religious opinion, and as such, not something that I can validate or otherwise comment on.
Out of curiosity, if the nearest star to our solar system were to launch a missile at something on Earth, how long would that take to reach us? Assuming it could travel at the speed of light, say, just to make it easy.
Yeah, the nearest star is about 4 light years away. So it would take about 4 years.
Now, the next part of this transcript says, "Each time Professor Armstrong told us some scientific fact, we mentioned to him the relevant verse with which he agreed. Then we said to him, 'You have seen and discovered for yourself the true nature of modern astronomy by means of modern equipment, rockets and spaceships developed by man. You have also seen how the same facts were mentioned by the Quran 14 centuries ago. So what is your opinion about these?'"
Well,
it seems here he's giving the impression that you talk about something, and every time he said something, go, "Hang on a minute, I already know because it's in the Quran." It was a rhetorical question. You can't tell me anything.
Yeah. Well, if one is not constrained to impute meaning to words before the statement is made, one can always reinterpret generalities to be in agreement with specifics. Unfortunately, science doesn't proceed that way. Religion may proceed that way, but science does not. When astronomers make observation, they get numbers, they get facts, they get relationships that are clear and concise. That's the goal, at least, and their job is not finished until they have the phenomena measured, observed, interpreted, and placed in an appropriate relationship with other observed phenomena. And the generalities, the ambiguities, the other claims that are made with religious implication are just that. They're only claims, and what the whole exercise appears to have been intended to accomplish was to develop what we would call ad hoc explanations, not anything other than listening to a recent discovery and then reinterpreting some sort of ancient claim to be consistent with it, and that's not science. That's not even really very good anything else, but that's a separate question.
At this point, he claims that once he'd asked